Let's do a recap of 2024. It was a big year.
Creating this personal brand so that people come to you, they don't have these questions about compensation. They just say, oh, this is your fee.
But I think it always comes down to like, how do you make your content stand out in the feed to the people that are consuming it? Things are always changing, but I feel like a lot changed. Like I feel like more changed in this year than regular years.
Yeah, I would agree. Do you want to talk about platforms?
I mean, we could talk about platforms, but there's an association out there. I think it's the National Association of Realtors. And for me, I think that was a pretty big change this year. And I think the biggest surprise on that was how little changed. So I don't know about you, but we were spending so much time gearing up for like this industry getting turned upside down, and not really.
So I think my 2 cents on that is that I feel as if being in Texas, we had buyer representation forms for a very long time, basically for my entire career, yours as well. So it's not a new form. It's just now more widely used, and it's, more of a conversation with a client. I think that and then, taking contracts classes, brokerage trainings, all of that, like made me feel way better prepared, and I'd rather be over prepared than under prepared. And so I think for a lot of agents that are feeling this huge change coming from the NAR thing, it's because like they never had a conversation about compensation, because they never had a buyer rep sign, because they, never did a buyer consultation. And it's like, if you've been doing these things, at least since we knew about this lawsuit, like you were definitely more prepared than the average agent.
Yeah, I will say I did talk to agents that totally seemed caught off guard. And what was interesting was it definitely depended on where you were company-wise, training-wise, and like how plugged in you were. Because I mean, I feel like maybe we overtrained it, right? We did so much prep and whatnot, at our company, that it was like you talk to somebody else, like, you guys haven't been training on this for the last 3-4 months. It was fun. In the middle of all of it, and I think this kind of connects to the video stuff that we talk about too. It's like, if you got really good at buyer presentations because of what was coming, if you got really good at explaining the process and doing all this stuff, like if you geared up and got really good for a big change, and then a big change didn't happen, you still improved your skill set a ton. So
yeah,
it was a win-win in my opinion.
Win. I would agree. So, and I think one of the things that we talked about a lot in April of last year, or in April of this year, because we're still in 2024, was, creating this personal brand so that people come to you and they don't have these questions about compensation. They just say, oh, this is your fee. Totally willing to pay that if I have to. If the seller pays it, then awesome. And so that was our big thing. That was our big push, right? Is like, you need to create this personal brand that people are willing to pay whatever you tell them you charge.
Yeah, we should give a little shout out to Jason Pantana, but I love when he has this saying that I really like, which is, are you the agent of chance or the agent of choice? Like, are you somebody's real estate agent by accident because they happened to click on something and you got their phone number and called them? Or are you the agent of choice where people are seeking you out? And I think people who have built brands that get sought out by the consumer have almost zero issue with compensation conversations, as opposed to when you're just that agent of chance.
Yeah, I would agree.
So what do you want to talk about video wise?
I mean, I think this was an interesting year because we started out the year, and even like some of the content that we posted was all very, especially short form, like flashy, lots of graphics, all of these, fire frames lit up, transitions and like all this stuff. And then partway through the year, I think Hermosi was one of the larger influencers that said it. That was just like, dude, just make better content, talk directly to the camera, and like do more. And that's better. And then everyone was like, yes, we will do that as well. So I think that we saw a shift in kind of like how people are consuming content. And it's less like, let me have all of these transitions to keep like you hooked, and more like, let me have the words that I'm saying and the content that I'm putting out be the thing that keeps you. And so I think we've seen a shift in a lot more like talking head content. I think we've seen a shift in like interesting local content. I don't know. What are your thoughts on all that?
Well, I love that Hormozy said it, and I've definitely seen it play out. But I think it always comes down to like, how do you make your content stand out in the feed to the people that are consuming it? And
how do you make your content stand out, Tim?
Well, that's what I'm going to talk about. Before, we had all of this fast-paced content, and we were trying to get the squirrels' attention by having this, really fast-paced content. And so, I would say it's kind of Mr. Beast style. So if, you watch a Mr. Beast video, there's a different shot every 8 seconds, and he dives right into the video. The hook is great. And like that type of content's been replicated and really modeled after for everybody. And so what's funny is, since there's so much of that content in the feed, Matt Patullo just slowly walking around a house with his gentle voice explaining things. Slower content actually stands out in the feed now, and that gets people's attention, because I think the consumer of content is a little burned out by how fast things happen. But I think the flip side of that is, when we were making fast-paced content that hooked the audience, that did all that, you had to be really good at editing, right? You had to be really good at timing. You had to really be good at keeping the attention. Now, when you look at this other content, you have to be really good at being engaging in the way you talk, the topic you're talking about. And so, for a lot of people, this is going to be good news in that they don't have to make these over-edited hype reels. But on the same hand, you have to get really good at speaking in a way that captures the audience. And that's not an easy thing to do. Like, it's not, it just, yeah. So I think that's going to be the new, a new challenge for a lot of people.
Well, it's interesting you said that. And it's interesting you bring up Matt Patullo, because, obviously he's doing longer form stuff on TikTok, which we can talk about TikTok, but longer form stuff on TikTok. And that's like such an oxymoron. Seems like an oxymoron. Yeah. Like counterintuitive, like, it doesn't make sense, right? And so what I've been noticing after we, shot with him and talked about long form on TikTok is like, I've been seeing when I'm watching a TikTok video, I'll like tap it or pause it to see how far along I am on the video. And I've been watching like 5-minute videos, like cooking videos, or like, what's been popping up a lot, like algorithm wise, is like destination vacations with kids, because I'm like, I just want to use my passport. And, but it's like 5+ minute videos. And I'm like, how am I listening to this mom or this dad or this chef talk about making like a grilled cheese sandwich for 5 minutes? I don't know, but I am.
And I love, there's even some real estate content out there that we'll be highlighting at REVB that is still, don't get me wrong, a great, like Shannon Gillette has made some great, and Erica Wolf have made some great high energy listing videos with big zooms in and the house flips around. Like, there's still a place for that high speed stuff. But I will say, just even the reels that Pawn, my wife, sends me, like these aesthetically pleasing, slower shots tied together are just pulling the audience in more. Because like I said, I think the audience is burned out on the fast pace. And we actually don't mind sitting and watching a 42-second video.
Well, and I think I've been noticing, and Andy, my videographer, and I were talking about like those videos where the house drops down and then like you pop through the window and then, the living room comes out of the microwave and like, the crazy special effects. And I told him, I was like, I don't like these. I'm like, it's just, there's too much going on. Some of them are moving so quickly that I'm like, I don't even have any idea of what room I'm in at this point. Like, because it's like things are hopping out of the TV and the couch and the this and the that. And it's like flashing. And I get it, right? Like you're trying to get the views. So I told him this. I was like, yeah, I don't like it, whatever. And then Ken Posick dropped one where he's standing outside at the pool and it's like 007 and he's basically just like talking about the house, and then it's jetting him in different spots. And I was like, okay. I sent it to Andy. I was like, I lied. This is a good execution of that idea, right? So I think it's like with all things, right? Like the good execution, and then they're like, okay, your videographer just learned this, or your editor just learned this edit, and now they're putting it in as every transition. Like, remember when we used to do like every transition was the zoom in, zoom out?
The zoom in, zoom out, Well, what you make me think of is the fact that Ken Posick did that video on this amazing Golden Oak property, And I think I like the ones that Erica Wolf's done and Shannon Gillette have done. But the key is the energy of the video matched the energy of the house. And I think what happens is you see somebody do like one of those super hype, high energy house drops in,
For
you know,
like
all
a
the special effects you're
2-bedroom,
talking about.
2-bath.
For just like
Standard
a
home.
house. Yeah, like the house doesn't match the energy of the edit. And I think that's why those ones work when they are an amazing property, but they kind of fall flat when, like, you know, people have to be as excited about the house as they are about your cool edit.
Yeah. No, that
That is correct, is the word you're looking for.
That is, I couldn't even get it out. Like I was like, that is a point that I could potentially agree
somewhat with. Yeah.
Yeah. No, but yeah, and it was funny. Like I watched the video multiple times. I then sent it to my videographer, you know, but
Yeah.
it's I would completely agree, because it's like, you know, we talk about like, okay, you have this like standard 3-bedroom, 3.5-bath home in Houston, Texas. Like I'm like, what's exciting about this house? What's exciting about this house? Like
it what I've seen is as some of our agents build big audiences based on these listing tours, unfortunately, they have to get a little pickier with what houses they're doing tours of. And if you're gonna go do this amazing listing video, like if the house isn't that great, it's not gonna go anywhere. And that's where I do think we've been pretty like meh on business pages overall for the last couple of years, just because they don't really do that much. But as you're building an audience out from all these listing videos and everything else, I think it's important to have a business page where you can just put some of those houses that need a video, they need the marketing, but they're not interesting enough of a house to be putting in front of the audience that you're trying to grow. And on the same hand, if you're growing the audience on your personal page, Katie, can't you then take your not as great house and still advertise it to your audience from that business page? So it's not like your client is missing out on the audience you're building. But I do think, you know, we're talking to Brad about this too, like really taking care of that audience if that's what you're building.
So I agree and disagree with that. Like, so I think that one of the things that we always talk to sellers about is like, so a Brad McCallum, or like Brad, I mean, honestly, like, I think Brad McCallum is probably one of the only people who doesn't like run ads on his content.
Yeah.
Right. It's all organic. Right. I mean, at least he says it is. I don't know.
Yeah.
Perhaps he's lying, but he says it's, no, his content's all organic. Most people run either views on Facebook and Instagram, or back end ads on Facebook, or views on YouTube to say, hey, we garner 20,000 views on our listing videos, which to a seller in a listing appointment, I think is a valid thing to do, right? Like I'm not shooting that down, running ads on listings to garner more views, to potentially find buyers, all of the things, right? So like one of the things that we say in listing appointments is like, hey, if your agent says that, or if an agent says they're going to do social media, you need to dig deeper on that, because most people are just going to post 5 pictures of the house on their Instagram and Facebook feed, and that's them doing social media, and 4 people are going to like it. And like, then do they DM those people, say, hey, I saw you liked my post, do you want to tour it? No, they don't. That's weird, right? So we run ads on the back end, right, of our videos on both Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube to have forced registration. So if people want to see the house, they can request more info. And so like that's what like we've always kind of done, right, with views. So it's like, I agree with what you're saying of like, yeah, you can post it on your business page or whatever, but like, why would you post it on your business page to get 4 views? What you should be doing is running back end ads on your
that's
Facebook
why I say
page, right?
But that's what I mean. That's why you post it on your business page, so you can run ads.
Yeah. Well, but you can run it's better to run a back end ad where it's not.
You're saying without posting it.
What you're saying is basically you're just boosting a post.
Yeah, I know what you mean about running the designing a better back end ad and having it be more targeted and everything. I think sometimes though your seller just wants to see that their house has been posted and that it's on the page and all that fun stuff.
But like in an actual listing appointment, Tim, that I go on, if for those that don't get that was a shot that Tim doesn't go on listing appointments. So, but when I'm on a listing appointment,
actually, I've been on 2 in the past 2 weeks. So thank you very much.
Are you licensed yet? But anyways, so the the point is like in a listing appointment, that's an easy way to shoot down what other people, other people are doing
Yeah.
in a very nice way. Like, oh, most people are going to say this, but this is what we do. And like what I'm saying, they're like, oh, that makes sense. I would rather have people where you can get their information and da 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 da.
Yeah. I think the perspective I'm speaking from is, you take a Ken Pozek, and I don't think Ken is putting up the videos of every house they're selling, right? Like he's putting up the best ones. And here's the deal, like your client is going to win because of this audience you're growing.
Yeah.
And there's this balance between your client's going to win because the audience you're growing, yet that particular house isn't going to help grow the audience. And so, you're hurting your future kind of could be hurting your future stuff by posting not so great listings and trying to get them going on the page you're trying to grow an audience. But that also goes for like a lot of our agents that are doing really well are just going out and finding whatever the most interesting, intriguing listing is. And a lot of times it's not even theirs. Like Michael Perry, who has a ton of business and a ton of listings. One of his most viewed deal of the week videos was somebody else's listing because it didn't matter if it was his or not.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter if it's his or not. It just matters what is going to be the most compelling listing for my audience.
So I know we have a little bit of a hard stop. So I have a few things that I want to touch on.
Yeah.
Rapid fire-ish. So one thing with the Michael Perry thing is like, I really like, and I'll link it up in the show notes, his deal of the week, because what he's doing is he's picking a house, he's driving out to it and doing the intro at the house. Some of them, if he's friends with the listing agent or knows the listing agent, he then gets inside the house and they do an actual tour of the house. But some of them, it's like, he's just doing the hook outside, sitting on the porch or sitting on his truck or whatever. And then it's Zillow's scroll green screen.
Yeah.
So it's awesome because especially he does a lot of investment. He personally does a lot of flips, things like that. Like he's talking through like, this is the numbers of the deal. If you were going to do it, this is what this looks like. And it shows such expertise that if someone's watching that's a consumer in its market, they're like, oh shit, like we totally need to work with him to invest.
And it goes back to that point we were talking about in the beginning of the highly edited stuff. Most of the time, if your video doesn't do well and you're not getting traction, it's not because of the camera. It's not because of the edit. It's because of your ability to talk about the topic or the quality of the topic that you're talking about. And Michael Perry's got this really unique way of like speaking softly into a microphone and really hooking people in with another very slow paced edit. But it's really, the magic is in how well he talks about the house and how he's talking about the house. Cause like you said, half the video is just scrolling through the listing photos on Zillow or something.
Yeah. Okay. Rapid fire thoughts and comments. Instagram has had a ton of changes and rollouts and, different things that you should be doing on Instagram. As of, December 2024, one of the biggest things right now is trial reels. Have you tried a trial reel?
I haven't done a trial reel yet. I worry it's a little bit of a distraction to stop people from actually just posting stuff, but I will. We'll have some experimentation and some results by the time REVB comes around in April.
So I talked to Ed Stulak because we both want more of a local following, but have a lot of agents on our Instagrams. And so I was saying, I think the best case, this was like me driving, I had to call him immediately. The best case for trial reels for me and what I'm going to start doing is those local talking head style videos. I'm going to do those and I'm going to trial reel those so that hopefully Instagram pushes us out to Houston people first.
The local audience, yeah.
Because it's local content and the caption and the graphic, everything says Houston. I'm saying Houston, and see how that performs. Because like they already don't perform like very well sometimes compared to my other stuff, but they get a lot of shares and saves. So I'm going to see like, does this perform better, faster when it gets pushed out just to like who Instagram deems it should go to? Thoughts? I agree with all that. And that's kind of how I was thinking through that too. Just back to my point is like, if you are in the weeds of putting out content and you're putting out 2 or 3 reels a week or 2 reels a week and you're making it happen, then by all means experiment with trial reels. I just don't want my audience that's like trying to get going, get distracted with trial reels. So I would say that I'm kind of like, yeah.
So I think it's cool, but make sure you're thinking about that when you already have the momentum going, you're already putting out content and you have an audience. Like it's hard to test content, I think. Well, I know they're going to put it out to people that aren't your audience. So yeah, it'll be interesting. I'm sure by April we'll have a lot better perspective on it.
Collaboration feature. That's another big one on Instagram.
Yeah, I think there is a lot of it's been around for a little while and people have been using it a ton, but I still think they're scratching the surface a little bit as far as being able to have a local page, being able to have your like real estate team page and your personal page that you're growing, and then being able to strategically grow 3 different audiences and cross-pollinate them whatever you want.
Well, and
there's a lot more value there than I think most of us are keying in on.
I think someone who's doing that well right now is Paul Wolfert with his local channel, because like he's putting them, I'm checking this. Okay. So he's posting them from Metro Detroit Insider and copying, like collabing Paul. I was going to say like CCing. I'm clearly in email mode right now, but so these videos are on his Detroit page that then he's sprinkling in real estate by linking it back to his realtor page. So
my biggest beef with collabs is don't just collab people to collab people. Like people collab me on stuff and I'm not even in the video. Like you have to be intentional with the collabs, because Katie, we all kind of guess at what the algorithm's doing, but I think we found that if you're collabing with a video that's not relevant to your audience, you're actually just hurting it, because it's not going to do well with your audience, and then it just kind of tanks it for everybody else as well.
So stop tagging Tim in your collabs is what he's trying to say.
Just don't
just stop it.
If you're going to collab somebody, make sure it's like, oh, this would be a great fit for their audience.
Who is your audience, Tim?
That is a question I ask myself every morning.
Who am I and who is my audience? I'm just going to collab you on every post I make from now on.
Rick Gonzalez is my, well, and I will say too, the posts that I collab that I'm not in the first couple seconds of don't do well. Like if I'm not in the first couple seconds of this video,
they need
listen, I've tried, I've failed, and I've analyzed. Okay. And my analyzing has told me that when, I collab videos that don't really have me in it, then they don't do well. And then I adjusted and stopped accepting collabs from videos where I'm not in the first couple seconds.
I think the other thing too with the collabs is like you only have a certain amount of collab people, so it's like you need to use them wisely if there's a lot of people in your video. And so if you have Tim in your video and he's not in the first few seconds, he's probably not going to accept it. So don't use the collab. One thing I did notice the other day when I went to edit a video, I screwed up the caption. So I went to go fix my typo. I saw that I could actually add in a collaborator after the fact, which wasn't something that you could do before. So I think now you can actually go in and edit and change things. So like if someone invited you and you politely declined and you said, hey, I'm not going to accept this because I don't like you, they could then edit and remove you and add someone else. Just maybe.
And that goes back to too, like, don't just try to fill up all your collabs. Cause I don't know about you, but when I see this plus 4 others, sometimes that's confusing. Whereas if it's like a video of Katie and Tim and it just says Katie and Tim, like it's you know what I mean? It's easier to see who's in the video and who it's about. So I think collab, we haven't really used it to its full potential, but I will say be more intentional with the collab feature.
Don't just collab with anyone. Careful who you collab with.
That's right. All right, what's your next question? What do we got? What's the next topic?
That's Instagram. I had something else, and then we kind of went on the collab thing.
We talked about this on the last pod, so I'll just scratch the surface on it. But I think this was the year that a higher percentage of agents started using AI in their business on a regular basis. There was some stuff.
Stay tuned for our next podcast episode where we might talk more about AI because we're changing around the post-production.
But it's like you can go on like Opus, right? The editor on Opus and stuff. And I just haven't seen the Opus editor churn out content that actually works. Like it churns out content easy. But I do think in 2025, it's the year that you may start seeing this stuff be more effective and break through that barrier.
God, you took the words right out of my mouth. Wow. So it's had improvement. So like I don't know when we first started talking about Opus. I would say probably 2023-ish. right? Of like, shoot the long form, cut it up into short form. And so like everyone kind of did that. And like when you go to put this short form on your Instagram, you're like, it was like an awkward cut of a long form. Now, obviously, like I went back into it probably 6 to 8 months ago. You can play with it and adjust it and edit it and like take out words and add words in, with like the live editing of the text, which I think is a really cool feature. And it's like, so I think it's only going to continue to improve. Why I like Opus is I've been seeing like way more creators talking about Opus on my Instagram than I've ever before. So I'm like, I think that these things are continuing to improve by leaps and bounds, especially as more people use them. So I'm excited to see where stuff like that, Munch and Opus and stuff, go in 2025.
And then the other piece is you go back and look at the Will Smith eating spaghetti AI video and realize that was 2023. And then you go look at the AI generated videos now. Like, I think we're also pretty close to AI just making the footage that you want to see, which is going to be weird, but I think you're going to see more of that happen in 25 as well.
I've been seeing some of our friends posting AI B-roll videos on like social, and I'm like, damn, like that, it doesn't look like complete, but it doesn't look fake,
Yeah.
AI, I'm like, oh yeah, that palm tree, isn't a palm tree, or like that isn't whatever, but I'm like, this is getting really good. So
it's crossing the uncanny valley.
The what?
It's the uncanny valley.
Okay. Is that something is that like a common phrase I should know? Or did you just make that up?
Yeah, it's like when when you have like a CGI character and they're CGI, and then they actually get really close to being real, and it actually gets more awkward. Like it makes you feel weird, the fact that it's fake, but it's almost real. And so there's this uncanny valley of where like the better the CGI is, it like makes you feel a little weird about it. But I think it's crossing that uncanny valley, and you're just not going to notice it.
Do you want to know what's wild? Is I actually had never seen that Will Smith eating spaghetti video.
Yeah.
And I'm watching it right now. Yeah. It's kind
of that was 2023. Like that was not that long ago. And that was like crazy that AI was making that video.
Yeah. I'm going to drop it on the show notes.
It's unbelievable how fast it's going.
All right. Prediction, hot take. Prediction for 2025.
My hot take prediction?
Yeah.
Do you have one?
I don't actually know if I think this either way. I'm going to say TikTok will not get banned.
Yeah, and I think that's a pretty, for me, that's the take. Thing's too big, too many people use it. I think they'll figure something out.
No, I think Trump's going to swoop in and be like, I saved TikTok.
My hot take is that REVB for 25 is going to be the best one we've ever done, which is a hot take because we've had some pretty awesome events.
I'm excited. It makes me nervous that you say that. Like I got anxiety like throughout my entire body.
That's a big weight to carry, right? To be the best one we've done, because we've had some absolute bangers. And when I say that, like Katie and I love putting the event on, but it's really all about how great our speakers deliver and how great they are at delivering value to the audience. And we've just had some amazing people deliver some great value to the audience. And I think this year we got some hitters. So I'm excited.
So, this is coming out like in December 2024.
Yeah.
So Neil Dingra, we already announced. And then January, we're going to hit y'all hard. So follow along on Facebook and Instagram, and we'll be announcing our speaker lineup. So get your tickets and use Fiesta for the discount code.
And you know what else, Katie?
What?
I will buy the first person that DMs me after they listen to this podcast. I'll buy you a ticket to REVB.
All right. DM me.
I just want to see who listens to the end.
DM me first so I can increase the price on Tim, and then DM him. He'll buy the ticket for you. I'll lower the price back down to the regular rate, and we'll make a little bit extra money. Yeah, DM.
I just want the people listen to the podcast all the way to the end. I want them to win. So
and
DM me.
We'll post it on the story once.
That's right.
just for some accountability that he actually did it and that someone actually DM'd him.
Yeah. Well, both. I need both. I need somebody to actually DM me, and then we need to post it.
All right.
Well, Katie,
Merry Christmas, Happy New Year, Timothy. For all the shit that I give you, and I can't even say it. I appreciate you, brother. And
you were trying to put the words back in your mouth as you said.
And yeah, the words just got jumbled in my mouth. No, but I appreciate you, and I'm super excited for us to throw together an event in 2025.
It's same, Katie, not just me, but I think everybody is grateful for everything you do. So awesome 24. Let's go crush 25. Merry Christmas, everybody.
How sweet. That was so sweet. All right.